What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 4 of the Fantasy Fanatics podcast. I'm Nathan. I'm here with Spencer. You want to say hello?
What's up, Fanatics?
Oh, God. And then we're also here with Mr. Hot Takes himself. Robbie, you want to say hello?
Hello.
That was a strong hello from Robbie. So today we're just going to go through the recap of Week 10. Had some crazy games, crazy fantasy games as well. So let's start with the Arizona-Buffalo game.
Can we not? All right, so we're going to start with the Colts-Titans game. The Colts came into Tennessee, beat them 34-17. They rode the back of Phillip Rivers, the old man. Shut up the doubters. Also, their defense did pretty well, too. What is going on with the Indianapolis backfield?
Well, I think this is only right if we start this off by getting Mr. Hot Take's opinion on this matter. As someone who forecasted a Jonathan Taylor top 5 rest of the season value, what the hell's going on?
Nyheim Hines is a bum. That's all I got to say. Trust in JT and hashtag free JT. Get it? If you're listening to this, tweet at me, hashtag free JT.
What's your at?
At Hot Takes number 4 in life.
Okay.
So,
Free JT.
Nyheim Hines equals a bum.
What about Jordan Wilkins? Bum too?
Jordan Wilkins has no business being on an NFL
They both
field.
have more carries than They both have more carries than Jonathan Taylor, though.
I don't care.
But they average
Nyheim
more
Hines
yards
is a
per
bum,
carry,
and
too.
Jordan Wilkins has no business being on a football field. That's all I got to say about that game.
Nyheim Hines is a touchdown machine. Can't say the same about Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
Dude had 7 carries for 12 yards.
Maybe in college.
Yeah, maybe in college, but no, not in the NFL. Switching to Tennessee's side of things, Ryan Tannehill got absolutely shut down. 147 yards and a touchdown. Derrick Henry had 19 carries for 103 yards. Just couldn't get going on that Tennessee side of things. Are you panicking about any of the Tennessee Titan players?
Why do you ever panic about Derrick Henry?
What about A.J. Brown, who had 1 catch for 21 yards?
Nah, I mean, there was plenty of people who had off weeks. Like DK Metcalf had an off week. You're not panicking on him. Jonathan Taylor's had a bunch of off weeks. That wasn't an off week. That's becoming the norm. So, A.J. Brown, no, you're still playing him. You're playing him even if he's just your wide receiver 2 or something. You're still playing him. Tannehill, I don't know. I was never a big fan of Tannehill as far as fantasy. I think he's a decent player in real life. But Johnny Smith as well. Would you play Johnny Smith?
Only in 2 tight end leagues at this point.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
I mean, tight ends are so scarce to come by. So, I mean, unless you got no better options. I mean, would you play Austin Hooper over Jonnu Smith?
I wouldn't play either. I'd hope there's a better option.
If you had to play.
If I had to, I'd go Johnny Smith probably.
Okay. All right, going to the absolute shootout game in Cleveland, 10-7, the Browns win. The big storyline in this game was Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, who both had 100 yards on the ground. I'm sure you're valuing Nick Chubb higher than Kareem Hunt at this point, correct?
Yeah. Nick Chubb's a higher value, but you're playing both. They're both, in my opinion, they're both low end RB1s, especially in a PPR format for Kareem Hunt.
Hold on.
We're getting some hot takes
I saw
here.
hot takes shake his head at the. So you're telling me you would take Kareem Hunt over Nick Chubb?
Kareem Hunt over Nick Chubb.
Kareem Hunt has the ability to catch the ball out of the backfield versus Nick Chubb. So give me Kareem Hunt every day. He's going to kick Nick Chubb's butt.
He had.
I would say that's a scorching take.
Well, that's just like his Jonathan Taylor take. I mean,
Yeah.
Is there any receivers you could take on Cleveland? Or, I mean, you would trust?
The easy answer is no.
Jarvis Landry.
I would not take Jarvis Landry.
Maybe in the PPR?
He'd be sitting on my bench right now.
What about Rashard Higgins?
No. Nobody.
Austin Hooper?
No.
So only the running backs.
Yeah, they're going to be even more of a run-heavy team now without Odell. So I'd stay clear of Baker and all the receivers.
All right, switching to Houston side of things. Is Brandon Cooks and Will Fuller both weekly starters? I mean, they had a rough game, but
I think you're definitely starting Will Fuller, and I think Brandon Cooks is definitely a flex option right now.
I think that was just a
He's getting tons of looks every week, though.
Yeah, I mean,
but his catch rate hasn't been too high. I mean, even though he caught, I think, 6 balls this week, they're still throwing to him a lot, and he's so explosive. I think bigger plays are coming.
All right, and David Johnson was placed on the IR earlier this week.
Mm-hmm.
He will miss a minimum of 3 games, maybe more. Do you trust Duke Johnson in that stint that he's out?
Well, I mean, if this game against Cleveland was anything to go by, it's tough to trust him because he's always been just like a third down back. He's never been like a full workhorse, even in Cleveland. Even in Cleveland. What do you think, Robbie? No take on that.
No comment.
No take on
Duke
that.
Johnson.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that though. Like, I kind of refrained from starting him because he's a small dude, just a change of pace back. Maybe he's like your flex, but I would think there's better options.
All right, Wayne Gallman for the Giants had 2 touchdowns and 60 yards on 19 touches. With Devontae Freeman being placed on IR, is he RB2, RB3, flex?
I think if anything, is this an RB1 call from Mr. Hot Takes, or what is that? What is that? Is he just wanting to get a take in? No. Wayne Gallman for me, if anything, a flex. I think he was lucky to get 2 touchdowns this week. They really like Alfred Morris, and Deion Lewis is a pass-catching back. I just don't see him sustaining that kind of value. The Philly defense was horrible, so I don't think so. What about you?
I think Wayne Gallman's maybe an RB2. Very matchup based though. I don't think you can count on him in tough matchups. Say it's the Bears or against the Bucks, but I mean, in good matchups, I think you're starting him. You agree?
I think it depends on your team. I think in deeper leagues, he's a viable flex option, but I just don't really like him that much. I think he's too touchdown dependent, and I don't think the touchdowns are going to keep coming. Yeah. Also, real quick, this is in the middle of the Vikings and Bears game, so it's currently in the second quarter. So we will have a recap for the first half towards the end of this podcast.
Sounds good. All right, to the Lions game. # free DeAndre Swift. He was amazing yesterday. Had about 140 total yards and touchdown, 21 touches. Is it free DeAndre Swift time?
Well, I think it's been free DeAndre Swift time since he got drafted. He was obviously the best running back on that team. I mean, I don't think anybody's questioning that.
Could he be a potential league winner? If he is indeed freed.
If he's indeed freed, yes, but that's tough. I mean, for some reason they love Adrian Peterson, Kerryon Johnson. Like, I don't know why he's still there, but
why is he still?
I think they should just give up on him already. He's shown that he just doesn't have it really. Maybe he'll get a jump start somewhere else. But DeAndre Swift definitely free DeAndre Swift against a very good Washington defense, by the way.
Speaking of Washington, free Antonio Gibson. Right?
Free Antonio Gibson.
I mean, what is J.D. McKissick doing? Having 8 carries and 6 yards, and even vulturing a touchdown from Antonio Gibson.
I don't know. Antonio Gibson, the weapon.
You're passing to J.D. McKissick more than you are Antonio Gibson. That just doesn't make sense.
I don't know. Hopefully with Alex Smith, this offense will be clicking a little better. But they got to feed Antonio Gibson. Any thoughts on this, real quick, Mr. Hot Takes? Any thoughts? No hot takes.
No hot takes right now.
Let's keep going.
Jaguars versus Packers. James Robinson, absolute machine.
Oh gosh.
23 carries, 109 yards, added on 2 catches. I think he's a set it and forget it RB1 every week. I mean, do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, as many touches as he's getting.
Definitely. I wouldn't say that was a negative game script, but they weren't leading for much of the game.
He still had like 25 touches, didn't he?
Yeah. And who would you rather start back there for the Jaguars pass catchers? Jake Luton or Gardner Minshew?
If there's a neither option, I'll take that one. I'll take Trevor Lawrence. Maybe Trevor Lawrence. I don't know. They seem to rally behind Minshew. Luton's looked okay. I mean, kept it close with Green Bay. For fantasy purposes, I'm not playing either.
No, you're definitely not playing anybody in that whole Jaguars quarterback situation. Yeah,
bunch of nonsense. Fair warning to the viewers: we're talking with a James Robinson absolute fanboy.
No. Hot
so
take
that
big James Robinson.
Take that with a grain of salt.
All right, off to the Bucks and the Panthers. The Bucks wide receivers, it went 6 catches, 92 yards for Chris Godwin, 7 catches, 69 yards for Antonio Brown, and 6 catches at 77 yards and a touchdown for Mike Evans. Are you starting all 3?
I mean, yeah, I think I'm starting all 3. Standard 10-team league, bare minimum. I mean, I think the lowest valued one would be Antonio Brown, but it wouldn't surprise me by the end of the season he's the highest valued one just because he's.
Hold on, Antonio Brown. Can we get hot takes to?
Yeah, what were you saying about Antonio Brown the other week? Something about being a criminal.
I will say to all the loyal watchers and listeners, be weary of Antonio Brown. The man has a track record of being a negative spotlight in the team facility.
Negative spotlight in the team facility.
Well, you know what I mean. He has his downs, and he has a lot of them. Yeah,
it sounds like the locker room loves him, though. I mean,
that's what the media wants you to think.
So you're saying there's trouble in Tampa Bay? Is that what you're saying right now? Well, is there trouble in Tampa Bay coming off a 46-23 win?
Yeah.
They're in a division game. There is trouble in Tampa Bay. You were saying coming from Mr. Hot Takes.
News came out today saying that the NFL was not aware of certain off-the-field issues that had come about before he signed with Tampa Bay. So there is potentially a pending suspension coming. So look for him to be cut potentially.
The NFL did not know.
Did not know
because Tampa Bay. I'm gonna read off to you Tampa Bay's statement.
I'm pretty sure they did know.
All right, this is the Bucs statement.
NFL was unaware of alleged incident involving Antonio Brown before he was reinstated and signed with Buccaneers. Sources are Jenna Lane.
All right, coming from the Bucs website at 5:49 p.m. Eastern Time on November 16th. We are aware of the reported incident involving Antonio Brown prior to his signing. When Antonio Brown joined us, we were clear about what was expected and required of him. Thus far, he has met all the expectations we have in place. Are you saying that Tampa Bay is only saying that because that's what the media wants to hear?
Well, of course, and they can't come out and discredit him.
Well, sure they can. Look at the Giants and DeAndre Baker, who was found out that he was not
guilty.
Not guilty. So hopefully he'll be back on the field soon.
I don't trust Antonio Brown until he gets the mental help he needs.
Wow.
Are you gonna hit us with once a criminal, always a criminal?
No, I'm not going there. Okay, so I initially had said 2 weeks. Give him 2 weeks until he gets in trouble. What has it been? 2 weeks? And now there's news coming out.
This was an incident that happened. I mean, what they're saying maybe weeks or months
ago. Who's the organization that reinstated him and suspended him from the NFL? The NFL. And they were not aware of this.
But the Bucs said they were aware of it. So how was the Bucs aware of it, but the NFL isn't?
It's a good question. Were they hiding some information from the NFL?
Were they hiding some information to get Antonio Brown on the field?
I don't know. Maybe Antonio Brown told them some insider information while they were signing him. I don't know. Saying like, hey, here's a heads up. This is coming out. I'm going to act good now. I love Tom Brady. Something like that.
Well, he is living in Tom Brady's
house.
Just
be careful with him. Don't get your hopes up too high.
If he has a big game, would you trade him?
Oh, if you have the chance, if he comes out and he actually plays this week and has a huge game, trade him.
You're saying he came out and didn't play against the Panthers? Is that what you're saying? He had 7 catches.
I did not say that.
For 69 yards.
I said
no rush. You said if he actually comes out and plays
this week.
Yeah, but you're inferring that.
What is today? Monday. Today's Monday.
Well, let's hit him with some. Which would you prefer? So if you have Antonio Brown and somebody offers you out of John Brown, are you taking that trade?
Well, this is coming from a Buffalo fan. Let's ask somebody like Justin Jefferson or Antonio Brown rest of season.
I'm taking Justin Jefferson.
But I don't.
That's too easy because Justin Jefferson can stay out of trouble.
We don't know yet.
All right, I go on for Curtis Samuel or Antonio Brown.
Curtis Samuel's a bum.
Wow. Curtis Samuel has had good games this year.
He's a glorified Ted Ginn.
Oh my gosh, I hear this all the time. All right. Next topic. Mike Davis got hurt. Is there
Mike Davis?
Yeah, Mike Davis. He came back in, though. If something happens to him, is there anybody in that backfield you can trust besides Curtis Samuel?
I don't think you can trust Curtis Samuel. It's going to be like the Reggie Bonifant show. I don't like it.
All right. DJ Moore, coming from a Robbie Anderson fan, what is happening to Robbie Anderson?
So from my view of the games, Robbie Anderson's being used in a lot. He's catching a lot of balls, but he is not gaining the yardage because he's getting short out routes rather than his strength and using his strength, which is his speed, and throwing him the deep ball.
Well, now you see how I feel as a DJ Moore owner. You know, DJ Moore, the past 3 weeks, besides last week and this week, was not getting used at all. The Atlanta game, he had 0 catches into the last drive. DJ Moore, I think, is the far more talented receiver on that team. Is anybody disagreeing with that?
Robbie Anderson had 4 catches for 21 yards. That's not catching a whole lot of balls.
But you can look at his previous weeks. He's been at like 8 receptions. I think he was at 9 at one point. The dude's catching the volume. It's just they're using him in like out routes and slants.
4 catches, big volume though. I mean,
is he the Carolina version of Michael Thomas?
Hold on, guys. Hold on. All right, so Panthers quarterback Teddy Bridgewater is I don't know. He might miss a week or two. If he misses a game, do you still start all Carolina players with confidence? You know, Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, Mike Davis.
With confidence, I'd say no, but depending on your team, unless you have some like crazy deep team, you may end up having to put them as your flex, but it's hard to trust them with, I guess it'd be PJ Walker.
PJ Walker is pretty good. You know, I'm a big PJ Walker guy.
Oh, yeah, I've been hearing
kind of guy.
Been hearing about this for years.
I'm
not a believer.
Put it on record. Matt Rule obviously loves him. He coached him at Temple, the Temple quarterback. There's some connection going on there.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, off to the Chargers-Dolphins. Is it Tua time in Miami? Coming from a Mike Gesicki owner. Are you ready to drop Mike Gesicki?
No, I'm not ready to drop him. He's looked better with Tua. Tua's been looking for him more than Ryan Fitzmagic. It is a little disheartening to see a tight end score a touchdown almost every week.
It's every week, and it's usually Smythe
or Shaheen.
Yeah,
it's one of the two. It's infuriating. They're in there to block, and then they're catching touchdowns. Like, I don't get it. Brian Flores needs to have a conversation with me. We need to get Gesicki more involved. He's way too talented. Tua just, I don't know. I guess he just followed Flores because that's what Fitzpatrick was doing too.
Savon Ahmed, 21 carries, 85 yards, and a touchdown. News broke today that Jordan Howard is getting released from the Dolphins. Matt Breida might miss some more time. Myles Gaskin is 2 more games, right? 2 more games? One more game missed?
1 more game.
Savon Ahmed, are you trusting him?
No, I don't.
Not at all.
Here,
Well, I mean,
Mr. Hotweight.
He was a
Hot Takes.
workhorse though for Miami. You don't trust him at all?
Miles Gaskins is their guy.
But I'm saying for the next 1 or 2 games that Myles Gaskin miss.
No, they're
He's not a plug and play flex, maybe.
No.
I wouldn't.
Would you play him over Jonathan Taylor?
No.
Really, you wouldn't
No.
play him over Jonathan Taylor?
No.
He's getting more carries, more yards, more opportunities.
In 1 week.
But I'm saying though, of this 1 week that you saw.
See,
Savon
this
Ahmed,
whole podcast hates Jonathan Taylor except for me.
I don't hate Jonathan Taylor. He isn't free. I mean, back when we were screaming free Aaron Jones 2 years ago, the dude's super talented, but obviously the coaching staff just doesn't want to use him. I mean, he's got a bunch of miles on his tires. Is that even the saying?
Miles on his legs.
Miles on his legs from Wisconsin.
I think that's a myth. I know he did run a lot in college, and they used
Frank
him.
Gore says otherwise. Frank Gore says otherwise. All right, off to the Chargers side. What do you do with Chargers running backs without Austin Eckler? Can you even get close to starting any of them?
I don't know. I mean, Kalen Ballage, like, coming out of nowhere. You've seen him on the Dolphins. You've seen him on the Jets. He's looked absolutely terrible. Like,
oh my gosh, but
like
get him out of Adam Gase's system.
Like, would get cut from the XFL.
Whoa.
I don't know. I think it's more just like the Chargers offense. I think when Eckler comes back, that changes because he's been their pass catching back, which makes no sense because he's a bigger back. But I think when Eckler comes back, and assuming he comes back healthy, he's their guy, and they're going to ride him.
All right, as much as I don't want to, off to the Bills and Cardinals. I'm going to hand this one off to Nathan. Nathan, you do the recap on the Bills Cardinals.
Okay, so all three of us here, this is one Seattle fan speaking with two Bills fans. It was an emotional roller coaster. The ending that at least some of us like to see. Although I have to admit, I was pulling for the Bills because
You were.
we need
You got up and screamed as DeAndre Hopkins came down along with my heart. And upset the Bills to make them go 7-3 heading into a bye week where they got to go and evaluate themselves. How do they get the run game going?
But that wasn't an upset. So
That was an upset.
The thing is, I wanted Buffalo to win so that Arizona would, drop back because Seattle faced a tough game in Los Angeles. I don't know. It was a crazy game. It was a shootout that everybody expected. Josh Allen and Kyler Murray were throwing fireworks. And then, the Stephon Diggs touchdown with 30 seconds left. The Arizona Cardinals come down the field. The little baseball player moving around the pocket, goes outside, rolls left, and just heaves it. And, little Trey White got mossed by his daddy, DeAndre Hopkins.
I don't know why the Bills didn't put, Duke Williams, my guy, the CFL guy. Duke Williams back there, a 6'3" player who can go up and swat the ball down. I mean, you got a bunch of 5'10" and 5'11" guys back there. And DeAndre Hopkins, who has the biggest catch radius in the NFL.
What? That's not true.
That is true.
Michael Thomas.
No. Michael Thomas, Slant Thomas, no.
As far as catch radius, he's huge.
No.
He catches everything.
DeAndre Hopkins is the best receiver in the NFL with Stephon Diggs right behind him.
No, that's
and Devontae Adams
fake news.
in third.
That is coming from a biased Bills fan.
Oh my gosh, this is coming from the guy.
Okay, we're gonna put a poll up on Twitter where we rank Stephon Diggs. We'll do one for fantasy and then one for real life. Personally, I think he's a top 10 receiver in the NFL, real life, and then for fantasy, I'd put him top 10 as well.
All right, I'm gonna put the poll up right now. Where do you rank Stephon Diggs as far as talent? We're gonna put
let's put one up for DK Metcalf as well. All right. Because I think DK Metcalf is a top 5 receiver.
So you're telling me you would take DK Metcalf over Stephon Diggs
every day of the week? I mean, dude's a freak. There's a reason they aren't comparing Stephon Diggs to Calvin Johnson. I rest my case.
I don't think any of that.
I rest my case.
I don't think anybody's comparing.
The
DK
stats
Metcalf
don't lie.
to Calvin
The
Johnson.
only reason Stephon Diggs has better stats right now is because he hasn't had his bye.
Because he has a better quarterback. You said it. Better
because he hasn't
All
had
right,
his bye.
off to the Seahawks game where the Seahawks totally manhandled by the Rams. Just a smack in the face by the Rams.
I don't know if 7 points
That
is
was never a close game.
manhandling.
Did you ever feel confidence that the Seahawks were going to come back and win that game?
Yeah, right before the first quarter ended.
Exactly.
And then it was just kind of downhill
some
from
games
there.
are so misleading by the score, but, I mean, the Rams got a hold of Russell Wilson, took him by the face mask, and threw him around like a rag doll.
Yeah. I mean, any defense with Aaron Donald is going to be tough. They've kind of did. I kind of predicted that this would be a Tyler Lockett game, and compared to DK, it was. Teams are figuring out that DK is, arguably the best receiver in the league.
I'm putting
top 5 for sure.
Where do you
quote me? But you put all your focus on him, and then make Tyler Lockett beat you instead of DK. It's a whole different story. Our lead running back was Alex Collins, who just came out of nowhere. He hasn't played an NFL game in forever.
I like Alex Collins. He's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he was good. He had a good run with the Ravens, but I'd much rather have Chris Carson, even Carlos Hyde. But yeah, it was a tough game. Russell Wilson, uncharacteristically, apart from the last couple of games, turned the ball over a lot. I think that changes. They got a quick turnaround Thursday night game with Arizona. I think it's a revenge game. Everyone has talked about Patrick Peterson locked down DK in the last game they played. But I don't know. I'm calling it now. I called it a Tyler Lockett game this past week. This next week, DK Metcalf going off.
All right. And speaking of running backs, the Rams running backs, 10 carries, 38 yards for Cam Akers, 7 carries, 28 yards, and a touchdown for Darrell Henderson, 6 carries for 33 yards, 2 touchdowns for Malcolm Brown. Are you trusting any Rams running back at this point?
Trust, I would say no.
Are you starting any of them? I mean, who would give me your order?
I think it has to go Henderson, Brown, and then Akers. But Akers is the hot new toy they want to play with. I think they're going to try and get him involved.
So, are you still...
Henderson is probably maybe a low end RB2, high end RB3 right now.
Are you starting Malcolm Brown?
I am not, unless you're in just like a ridiculous deep league and like is messed up with bye weeks. I'd stay away.
All right, off to the 49ers Saints game. Alvin Kamara, just amazing. 3 touchdowns, up 8 carries and 15 yards. I mean, he is, if not number 1 running back, number 2 behind Dalvin Cook at this point.
He's definitely been the most consistent for sure.
Yeah, he really has. With Drew Brees likely missing time, Michael Thomas had 2 catches for 27 yards. What is going on? And what's going on with Michael Thomas, who has 6 or 7 catches since coming back from the IR in 2 games?
Yeah, I don't think anybody expected him to be this quiet, but he's just too good, and Jameis will definitely throw the ball down the field more. I'm going to predict a bounce-back week from Michael Thomas regardless of who's in quarterback. I don't even care if it's Taysom Hill. He's going to bounce back. He's just too good.
So say if he has another rough game, you're still starting him. You have to, right?
I think you have to. I mean, unless you're in like a 18 league maybe, or something crazy like that where you have loaded receivers. I think you have to.
All right.
Wait, Robbie, what's your thoughts on who you call Mr. Slant Boy, Michael Thomas?
He's a bum.
I mean, another bum. You're pretty high on Jameis Winston, aren't you?
I'm a huge Jameis Winston guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a Jameis Winston guy too. I mean, he threw 30 interceptions, but
He got his eyes fixed. That's all that matters. And looking at him in that Saints jersey and him wearing the swaggy number 2, the dude looks better than ever. And look for him to come in and carry a Saints team. And maybe we'll see some resurgence from Michael Thomas, but I think it's the Emmanuel Sanders show down there.
You think it's the Emmanuel Sanders show? Wow. You think that's the pass catcher to have in there?
Yeah, if you have Emmanuel Sanders, I would consider him. But Jameis Winston's going to spread the ball around, and it's going to be pretty even. There's not going to be one guy that's going to take over. Even look for Taysom Hill to have some action, especially with Drew Brees having a collapsed lung. Who knows how long that's going to take? I mean, Tyrod Taylor still hasn't recovered from his collapsed lung, so
I think he has been active, actually.
has he really?
Past 2 games. I think he has been active.
Well, Drew Brees will miss some time. He has some broken ribs.
I think the expectation right now is 2 to 3 weeks, which kind of surprises me a little bit.
I think if they win the next 2 games, they're going to sit him a little bit longer.
All right.
To get him healthy for the playoffs.
Robbie, this is your favorite game of the week. Ravens versus the Patriots. The Patriots go into Foxborough, or stay in Foxborough, and beat the Ravens 23-17. Behind Cam Newton, who had 118 passing yards and a touchdown, but had 21 rushing yards and a touchdown. What do you think about Lamar Jackson?
Well, Lamar Jackson has entered into the category I like to call bums. And the entire Ravens team is a fraud. They're in the fraud fraud category now. They don't know how to win a big game. Lamar Jackson can't step up. The dude's a straight bum. I mean, I saw a stat this weekend about comparing Lamar Jackson to another quarterback in the NFL. And this guy in particular is one who a lot of people hate on, and he goes by the name Daniel Jones. And the fact that Daniel Jones has more rushes of over 30 yards than Lamar Jackson, who won an MVP for being the new toy, the running quarterback, that's just a disgrace for him. And the dude's been terrible. There's no doubt about it. And the dude's a one-year wonder, and he's a fluke.
Wait, you're calling Lamar Jackson a fluke?
He's a fluky bum.
A fluky bum.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much else to it. I mean, he's not producing. So, I mean, they're probably better off starting RG3.
Better off starting RG3. You can't be serious right now. You can't be serious.
I mean, who would you rather, like, at this point, you just lost to a New England team that is starting Cam Newton, who cannot throw the ball to save his life. And a New England backfield who does not even have a single sole running back. They just have 3 guys that just will pop off at one point.
Damian Harris has been pretty consistent over the past few weeks.
I'd take Rex Burkhead.
You take Rex Burkhead over...
Dude's a touchdown machine. What can you say? He scored a touchdown in the past 3 weeks.
Damian Harris has been super super consistent.
I don't care, but Rex Burkhead gets those goal line looks.
So you're taking Rex Burkhead over Damian Harris.
Yes, and Rex Burkhead is going to be available in most leagues, so look for him to be a hot waiver claim this week.
All right. Speaking of waiver claims, Nathan, give me your top 3 waiver claims for this week. Yeah.
For this
go.
week in a standard 10-team league,
50% availability in ESPN leagues.
you said Naheem Hines. You think Naheem Hines coming from a Jonathan Taylor homer?
Sadly.
So I mean, I guess as far as Naheem Hines, but this week I think it was kind of a fluke. He's never had that many carries.
I'm gonna give you my 3 real quick.
Sure.
Cole Beasley is still available in 46.7% of leagues. In PPR, I think you got to rank him as a top 25 receiver every week. He's had 4 of his past 5 games, 10 plus points. I mean, what do you think? I mean, do you like Cole Beasley in PPR?
PPR, yeah, I do. I think he's a little harder to trust in non-PPR because you can't always count on him for yards and touchdowns. I mean, he had a great week this week, obviously, but I don't think that's the norm.
All right. I also like Wayne Gallman, who's owned in 28.3% of leagues. Damian Harris, who is still available in almost 65% of leagues.
That's absurd. That's insanity.
And then Savon Ahmed, I like him as a 1 or 2 week rental in Miami. He's probably by 1 or 2, but Damian Harris still being available is insane in almost 65% of leagues.
Yeah, what about some quarterbacks that you're looking to have a good finish to the season?
Good finish for the season.
Personally, I'm looking at Tua. I think Tua is going to be a good value for the rest of the season,
Good value.
as well as Alex Smith because they're going to have to throw the ball.
Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
Piggybacking off the quarterback comment, my top quarterback waiver wire pickup of the week, I think it should be everybody's, Jameis Winston, who is owned in almost no leagues. If he's the quarterback for the Saints this week, I think he's a top 10 quarterback.
Top 10?
Top
No.
10 quarterback. I rank him in that 9-10 range.
300 yards, 3 touchdowns.
I mean, he was like every year he's played.
What was that again, Robbie?
300 yards, 3 touchdowns for James.
You will be able
That's
to
not
find
a hot
that.
take. That's not a hot take.
You'll find something about Jameis on our website, thefffanatics.com. So who else? How about a tight end? Tight end is so weak. Who is someone you're looking to add? How about someone like Tyler Higbee, who kind of had a mini bounce back game? He had three catches for 60 yards. Not the volume, but the yardage was there. This was a guy who was being drafted as a top 6 or 7 tight end. Are you hopping back on the Higbee train?
I am not. I think there's better options, including Logan Thomas, who's available in 80% of leagues, who is coming off of a better game, 4 catches, 66 yards. They got Cincinnati up next. I think he's a pretty good. I think he's a better pickup than Tyler Higbee. Who do the Rams have next?
The Rams next. I'd have to check.
I think it is it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, I mean, I would much rather have, as a 1 week rental, I would like to have Logan Thomas against Cincinnati more than Tyler Higbee versus Tampa Bay. You agree?
Yeah, I think I would.
All right. Any other questions?
No, it looks good to me.
Oh, we did not talk about Pittsburgh. So, off to the Pittsburgh game. A little late here. Cincinnati, Joe Mixon didn't play. Samaj Piran had more yards, almost as many touches. Now, are you trusting anybody in that Cincinnati backfield without Joe Mixon?
No, that's a stupid question. Why would you even ask that?
Sorry. Now, off to the receivers. T. Higgins, 7 catches, 115 yards. You're a big T. Higgins guy. I know that. Do you value him Higgins, Boyd, Green like I do?
Higgins is definitely the number 1 in Cincinnati. He's the future. He's Joe Burrow's favorite target. Look for him to continue to produce out there. If you have A.J. Green, he's in drop territory at this point. The dude is struggling big time.
Now we're looking at the polls right here, Nathan. I'm looking at them. We have DK Metcalf.
I'm just wondering, what is this check mark from our other accounts that was voted number 1 for Stephon Diggs and all of them, and number 15 for DK? What was that? Just curious.
I have no idea what he's talking about. Off to Pittsburgh.
We have a little bit of controversy going on.
Interesting. A little bias going
One of the podcasters has multiple Twitter accounts and is influencing and rigging the polls.
Yeah.
I'm not rigging the polls. Just 4 or 5.
But anyways.
Hashtag cancel Spencer. Let's get that trending.
Anyways,
I don't
Pittsburgh.
like that.
Pittsburgh.
Cancel.
Pittsburgh.
All right, biggest Chase Claypool guy I've ever met.
Chase
Love
Claypool
him
is
coming out of the
a
draft.
god.
4 catches, 56 yards, 2 touchdowns. But the receivers besides him had kind of better games. 9 catches, 177 yards, and a touchdown for Juju. 6 catches, 116 yards, and a touchdown for Deontay Johnson. Like I said last week, I ranked them Deontay Johnson, Juju Smith, and Chase Claypool in that order.
That's absurd.
What's your ranking of them?
If anything, it's got to be Claypool, Juju, then Deontay Johnson.
Really? So you?
Claypool is the best receiver on that team.
I think Deontay Johnson is.
And yes, you're going to have weeks like this where Juju and Deontay put up bigger numbers, but the league is starting to realize the talent that is Chase Claypool. And I have been high on him for the longest time now. And he's going to have weeks like this. He's going to get a lot of targets, and he's going to get number 1 corners most every week now, because just how physically big he is and strong. And you're going to get a Juju 100-yard week. You're going to get a Deontay Johnson 100-yard week, because they're going to be facing the number 2 and 3 guys. But yeah, there's no doubt about it. Claypool's number 1 there.
Nathan, I'm going to ask you this question. James Conner, 2 good matchups in a row. 9 carries for 22 yards against Dallas, and then 13 carries for 36 yards against Cincinnati. What is happening to James Conner?
Well, I don't know. I think it's just kind of.
It's not this week. It's never. They face the Jacksonville Jaguars. Then they got Baltimore, Washington, and then another great matchup in Buffalo and Cincinnati. I mean, what is going on with James Conner?
Well, people thought that this week was his week, but then Roethlisberger threw the ball a million times. I mean, what did you see?
Well, Nathan, the same thing that you saw. James Conner is stinking it up right now. He has Jacksonville this week. If this ain't the week, then when is?
Well, I mean, people said that about this past week, and then Roethlisberger threw the ball a ton of times. I don't know. The receivers were getting open. You know, Cincinnati's a very sus defense. And, you know, Chase Claypool had another good game. You know, Robbie.
But this was coming off of a positive game script where I think the Steelers were up by 3 or 4 scores for most of the game.
Well, I mean, it's not like another running back had a good game.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like
If a running back is going to have a good game, it's going to be James Conner. They're going to feed him. He'll have a bounce-back week.
All right, guys. I think that was a good episode 4 of the podcast. Any other shout-outs here?
Well, you know, thanks for everybody hitting us up with questions. We love to interact with y'all. Keep participating in the polls we put up. We put up some based on this podcast.
Shout out Hot Takes for Life at Hot Takes for Life on Twitter.
Yeah.
Make sure you follow them for some good hot takes.
Some
That's
scorching
Hot Takes
hot
for
takes.
Life on Twitter.
You can find them on the website as well.
Yeah, make sure you follow our Twitter, the FF Fanatics 3, and also follow our website. You'll take it away, Nathan.
Yeah, and our YouTube channel as well. We're posting these podcasts on the YouTube channel.
And SoundCloud.
So go ahead and subscribe to our channel, The Fantasy Fanatics. Just starting to grow there. We are going to try and incorporate video. If you made it this far, you know, true fan, we appreciate it. We're going to try and get video in our upcoming podcast. We're new to this,
something I'm working on.
Yeah, new to this. Hang with us. It will get better. Anything you want to say before we go?
I think that's it.
Yeah. Thanks again, everybody, and we will see you in the next episode.
Peace.